Hi, welcome to today's community chat. We're going to be talking about the Perry Glass expansion at the Chrysler Museum of Art. I have the director, Erik Neil, here today to speak with us about, what's happening over there, what the progress is looking like, and what they expect. So I'm going to bring him on. He is in the studio with us. Erik, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time, especially with so much going on at the museum.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate the chance to talk about the Chrysler Museum of Art. We've got a lot going on, and as you mentioned, the big thing that's happening right now, it's already started, is the construction of a major expansion of the Perry Glass studio.
And would you just start by introducing yourself for
Sure
the
thing.
viewers out there?
So I'm Erik Neil, and I'm the Macon and Joan director of the Chrysler Museum of Art.
And you've been there since 2014 now?
Yes, I have been there for more than 8 years. It's been a good run so far.
Yes, and it seems like there's a lot of new things coming. I mean, what has it been like over the past year since 2014, since you started? Things have definitely changed at the museum.
So I walked in a really good time. An earlier expansion had happened at the museum. We'd done a capital campaign, but we had a chance to focus a lot on programs and exhibitions. So I'm happy to say we've done some really outstanding national caliber exhibitions that we organized that traveled around the country about Thomas Jefferson, about Jacob Lawrence, about Alma Thomas, all important figures in the cultural life of America, about American painters traveling to Spain. And this has been sort of our hallmark the last few years, and in fact our exhibition on Jacob Lawrence is playing in New Orleans right now, so if somebody's going down to New Orleans, go visit the New Orleans Museum of Art. The other thing that has happened, or that has continued, is we're free, and we've really put a big focus on being community focused so that we are serving everybody, or the broadest spectrum of people that we can. Even in COVID, we had a lot of public programs. We were open almost all the time, and that's really been those are the two aspects that I think have been most important in the time that I've been there.
Absolutely, and then with the the Vibe district sort of taking off a little bit more, especially after COVID. I mean, that seems to fit with the community even more so.
It does. I think people don't always. We think about a lot of great things in Norfolk and Hampton Roads. We think about the Navy, obviously, but it's also a great cultural hub. And we've got the Chrysler Museum of Art. Obviously, I'm here to sing its praises, but we've got festivals. We have the Virginia Arts Festival. We have the symphony. We have the opera. We have great theater companies. We really have a lot to offer in that way. And I'm not sure that's the first thing people think of, but it's very high quality, and we're fortunate that we have such a breadth of offerings here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so vibrant, and I think every weekend, one of the things I do, and as a part of the community chats, is seeing, what's ahead, what are in the months ahead, what are the weekends ahead, and it's constantly filled with different performances, different people coming into town, and really focused on that community element here.
I think you're right. We try to play part of that. We have things like family days, and coming up we do a lot of things at the Glass Studio. You might. Some of your viewers might know we have a daily demo at noon that's free, and people come, and there's always a nice little crowd in there. And then we have evening activities. We're doing something next week called what we call the Vitreous Theater. So that's all, glass is a vitreous subject, and we're bringing in a woman named Grace Whiteside, and she was featured on a show called Blown Away. It's all about glass blowing. It's like a reality show with contestants come in and they say, who's the best glass artist? And the head of our program, a guy named Robin Rogers, and his wife Julia, who's also an artist, they were judges on the show. Okay. So they have some contacts there, and they brought some. So we get a little bit of little bit of celebrity in that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I was looking at the Perry Glass Studio calendar just in the lead up to this, and it is full. Every day it seems there are other demonstrations, or there are other, classes for people to go to if they, themselves want to take a chance at how good they are at glass, blowing, glass making. But But no, I mean, it's definitely a working museum as well. I mean, there's just so many things going on between the museum, the new cafe that you all have, and the studio.
Sure. We are fortunate and a little bit rare. I don't know if we're maybe even unique in that we're a fully comprehensive art museum, so we can tell a lot of the stories of art history going back to ancient Egypt up to the most contemporary. And that's the core, that collection, and people can come and see a little bit of one day and see a little bit of something else another day, and we do have people doing that. And what you mentioned Zinnia, we have a refurbished cafe. It's really a great place to come, extend your visit, have lunch or have a cup of coffee after you've walked around. It's managed by the taste companies, which I think a lot of people know in our community. It's been a real boon, I think, for the visitors' experience at the museum.
Absolutely. I mean, especially as it gets nicer, there's that terrace out there, so people will be able to fully enjoy, the water and the environment over there.
You've been there, so you can see there's that really nice look from the porch out, and we have this live oak, and we've had people eating out there already. We've been fortunate with the warmer weather. So it's great. It's good food. It's very relaxed, and I eat there 3 times a week.
Yeah, I would take up on it too. Well, we're showing some B-roll viewers that can see here of renderings that the Chrysler Museum provided us for this community chat today. But we're seeing, what the Perry Glass Studio, at least, has the potential to look like. I'm sure these are pretty accurate that you guys have shared them with us. But, it's effectively, you guys say tripling in size.
Yes.
So, I mean, can you tell us the beginning, what started this project and looking forward to this expansion?
Sure. So we have a space that's a little over 9,000 square feet, and it was an old bank building. And about a decade, a little more, maybe 15 years ago, the trustees and the staff at the museum said, hey, this is up for sale. We ought to maybe grab this because it's right there. It's right next to us. And we didn't even know what we were going to do with it. But we have a wonderful collection of glass. It's one of the signature features of the Chrysler is this historic glass collection that, again, goes from Greece and Rome, Islamic, European, American, Tiffany, contemporary. I mean, I could just go on and on about the glass collection. So we had a core right there of something good. And there are a couple other places that have strong glass collections, and there are that had a little studio component. We thought, hey, we could do something like that here. There's nothing in our region. Certainly, you'd have to do a day's drive to get to anything close to this. And so we converted this bank to a glass studio. So they have a big furnace, what they call a glory hole, and we do other things like fusing and flame work and stained glass windows. But we have had such success. We have classes with Old Dominion University, Tidewater Community College, Norfolk State, the Governor's School for the Arts, and we're working on others. We've worked in the past with Virginia Wesleyan. So we are a hub then for higher education. People get college credit for these classes. I mean, that's not all of them, but that's a big thing. And we have more demand than we can meet right now. So because of that, we thought, okay, this might be the time to expand, and I'm happy to say we had a capital campaign. We raised about $56 million, and the largest chunk goes to the glass studio. So not all of it. There are other projects, and maybe I'll mention those in a second. But the glass studio, so I said it's about 9,000. It's going to go to about 27,000 square feet. So really almost 3 times larger. And one of the key features will be a much larger theater. We'll have a 200-seat theater, and there'll also be like a catwalk around it, so you can watch, you can sit and get close to what's happening and really feel the heat of the furnace, or you can check it out, and it'll allow us to be more dynamic in the programs that we're offering. But also, we're going to have a couple smaller things. We'll have a little outdoor space so that we can do something that. When it's good weather, and we're having a little festival, we can do something out there. So it really will allow us to go beyond. We have to meet our needs now, but also to hopefully expand to something larger and do even more. So I think we are known, but we'll become even better known as this hub for glass and glass making. And if you've never seen one, it's amazing. It's like alchemy or magic. They take a pile of sand, really, literally, they take a pile of sand and they heat it up, and then suddenly they're blowing something magical, and it turns in from sand, and that really is what glass is, the basis of glass. Add some color, and something remarkable comes out. And if you do decide you want to take a class, which I hope you do, you can come in and you'll walk out with, the one that's very popular is pumpkins in the fall, but we also do hearts. And all sorts of other things.
And, the theater element, and we've been talking about how we're expanding sort of that vibe district area.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a theater element within the museum, I mean, that leads to so many opportunities, whether it's lectures or other. I mean, are there ideas that you all have been throwing around of what could happen in that theater?
So what we hope to do, and we've done this in the past, is we can bring world-class artists in. So right now we have an exhibition called The Raven in the Box of Light. And it's an exhibition of work that it's conceived by an artist named Preston Singletary. Really very well known in the glass community. He's from Seattle, and it's about sort of Native American myths of creation. It's really a fun and interesting exhibition. I think people could really enter into it and maybe have all sorts of imaginings about myths and ideas of creative forces. Well, he came for a weekend, and he was there in the hot shop, and he's doing master classes with students, but he's also just talking to the public. So things like that, where you get these world famous artists, and they're coming to Norfolk, and they're going to be doing that. But then also, we often partner with local groups. With theater groups, with particular artists, or with performers from the region. So we've brought people in from all sorts of universities and who are doing creative things. And they think about glass in a different way. So you might think of, I've got this pipe I'm going to blow, but they tell stories. A lot of times it's a little fun. I have to say some of them are a little more adult content. We do them in the evenings, but during the daytime, it's definitely a family type of program.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the education element to the theater and to this, expansion really could be huge, especially for local universities and opportunities.
No question.
Okay.
And I think that we've been fortunate that they have recognized that, and we've gotten support with that idea so that there is a real logic to it. Because building a glass studio is an expensive thing, keeping it up, and we've been very fortunate with the support we got, and we still have a call for support. If any of you are out there and you want to support the Chrysler, I'll do my pitch. You can buy a brick or get your name on a seat for something like that. But if we do that and we are the hub, then 4 or 5 other institutions don't have to make that investment.
Right.
So it really makes economic sense to have it centered there. It's one of the sort of leverage points for attracting creatives to our community, to the Neon District, to the Vibe District, to all of the things that are happening around here. And we know that when you have creative people, you get exciting things happen. It really becomes a quality of life aspect. That there's something here that you're not going to find everywhere else.
Right. And I did want to ask, and it's on your website with what's to come, but you all are taking into consideration sort of the flooding that does occur. Yes. And I mean, it's especially on that side of the Hague, you do get it. So can you I was curious just about that.
So we have, what we euphemistically call nuisance flooding. There is, when there's high tides, and generally speaking, it's very manageable. It's around there. But maybe we'll get a king tide or something like that. And I lived for a number of years in New Orleans, and so I sort of okay, this is something that happens, and we have to be aware of it, be cognizant of it. But there are a few things. So first of all, just basically for the museum, we have a lot of internal controls so that happily, the water has never entered into the first floor, and we've got internal gates. But, the issue is more access to the space. And happily, the Army Corps of Engineers has announced that they will be building a gate, a floodgate, on the Hague. So that's that body of water that is right there, goes right up to the museum. In times of maybe major storms or super high tides, that will protect us. That is really very important. The fact that commitment has been made, that the city of Norfolk has said that they will support this, and I think we are working, it's not me, I say we, other people are working to make sure that the Commonwealth of Virginia is also going to be on supporting this, which I expect they will be. I'm not coming here to make any kind of controversy. I think that's something that will happen. That will be very important for protecting the area. We have a lot of parking, free parking, but you're right, as every so often it's like, can't get into that lot because there's water there. And we have all sorts of contingency plans when that happens, and it happens, I don't know if it happened once last year.
Yeah, when there was some major tidal flooding, I think. It's such a beautiful aspect of the area, obviously. But, in those times where it maybe is a bit higher or a little bit more dangerous, it's nice to know that there are some protections in place.
And even more than that, we have had, regularly, we have exhibitions that are really focusing on these issues of sea level rise, whatever. I'm not weighing into the politics about it, but it's a real thing that the water levels are rising around us. And we have to, as a community, be conscious of, our practices so that we're safe, but also what can we do as for infrastructure to deal with that, to be resilient.
Absolutely.
And we are very much want to be part of that conversation and make people aware of it.
Right. And the Chrysler has been a building that has stood for, decades. So it seems safe, but it's nice to know that, there are precautions being taken, just to protect, especially, the amount of art and and treasures that you all have.
Believe me, very conscious of that.
Yeah.
A couple things. We do obviously have a disaster plan, have never had to implement it happily, but something we think about. And there are a couple things people should know just if they're concerned. We don't have paintings stored on the ground floor. They're all on the second and third floor. They're higher up. So that is pretty important.
Absolutely.
And, that would still, if water were entered in the building, that would still be a pretty bad thing. But we have thought about the way we present art, the way we store our art, is something that is every day we say, hey, is this the right way to do it? And we have people that walk around and they are looking at the art all the time to make sure that objects are safe and secure. And that mentality, I think, goes through the whole institution.
Absolutely. Well, you teased this earlier, and I did want to ask you about it. In addition to the Perry Glass expansion, what are some of the other things that you guys at the museum are looking to either, in the next few years or maybe further down the line?
So in the immediate future, we're building something that is a works on paper space. In fact, it's the Good family works on paper. I don't know if you're related to them, but
I'm
you
not,
can
just
come.
for any viewers out there, but I'll say I am.
So the Good family are longtime supporters of the museum, and they have made a commitment to help us build this space. And works on paper means prints, drawings, and photographs. And they are, we have about 10,000 of those in the collection. So that's a significant number of objects. Works on paper tend to be much more sensitive to light. You can't, not like a painting or a sculpture, you can have them on view all the time. But we want them to be accessible to people. And so by building a works on paper space, you could say, hey, I'd like to see your Rembrandt etching or your Mary Cassatt print. I'll mention that again in a second. And we'd say, okay, yeah, come, we have a space, and the space for viewing will be right next to the space where they're stored. So it would be very easy, much easier to access. And again, as I think about classes, we'll have a space where if you are you're teaching art or art history, say, I'd like my students to see what a lithograph is. I want them to see what a daguerreotype is, or some technique or historic technique, and we will have great examples of those and be able to talk about that. Or a theme. So I imagine, or my hope is that it will continue to expand our educational mission, but also when I talk about community and I talk about being inclusive and having access, if we have the art and it's just packed away, that's not the point.
Right.
The point is to share it. You can go online and on our website, Chrysler.org, and you can access digital image of I think almost anything in the collection, about 90, maybe 98, 99% of the collection. So you can get some information, but I think seeing the real thing, getting up close, that's the experience we want people to have. And having the works on paper space is essential to that. In addition, we worked with the city to acquire a piece of property adjacent to the museum. That's a longer-term project, and we are in discussion with the city of Norfolk about that to find out what is the best use of that, and that will probably be another capital campaign down the road. So first things first, let's get this glass studio built and operational. And I should mention that in this whole construction project, which started, is going to last 20 months, so good long time. We are going to be open, the glass studio is going to be open almost the whole time. There might be one very brief moment of transition, so the current space is going to stay open. They'll finish the expansion, and then we'll open that, and then we will close and renovate what was the bank building. So that we want to keep going and keep serving our public to the extent that we are able to.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very accessible renovation,
Yes.
to be able to keep enjoying the museum, enjoying the art, the glass studio, but, have this, great expansion happening, in front of our eyes, because I
Yes.
know that you can see it now when you're driving over there. I don't think it doesn't seem terribly disruptive, so I don't, I know that you all might be worried about
I know.
that.
I hope our neighbors feel the same way that you do. But construction begins at 7 a.m. and we'll have trucks there. And one of the spaces, one of the parking lots, is essentially closed off. They've got their trailer there where essentially the office for the construction project, and all of the guys who are there, they have to drive, and they bring in their trucks, and they've got equipment and so on. So that space is really centered on the construction project. We have other spaces nearby where people can park, continue to park for free.
And the neighborhood's very friendly.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that people in our neighborhood, I'm happy to say, we're in the pretty much, we sit between downtown Norfolk and the Ghent neighborhood. And we have great relationships. We go and talk to the Ghent Neighborhood League and about what the plans were, and we shared that. And I have to say, to a man and woman, everyone was excited about this new benefit for the community, something that they can take advantage of. And I'm sure I've mentioned it, but the Chrysler is free. So you can come in any day and you can come back. You can say, oh, today I want to look at American art. Oh, tomorrow I want to look at Impressionism. And that's easy. It's very easy. And I think people appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, Erik, thank you so much. Is there anything else that maybe we didn't get to, or things going on at the museum? I mean, you did touch on some of the new exhibits that are, happening, but I'll give you the floor if there's anything else.
So I mentioned Preston Singletary. We have
Yes.
another artist, Barbara Earl Thomas. She's an African-American woman, also coincidentally from the Northwest. And she has worked with cutouts and to make images of artists and creative people, but she's also done work in glass. So it's a combination. So we've got a lot of glass, contemporary glass going on. And I just have to mention it. If you have a chance, the Governor's School for the Arts, they had their wearable art fashion
Right,
show.
just last week,
Yes,
yeah.
it was great. And the gowns, I say gowns, the clothes that they, and the wearable art that they made will be on display. So that's something. And we've always got something happening. Check out on the weekends. We often have concerts, high school groups come. We have college students presenting papers. So a lot of things happen. And I will say this, my other plug for the museum is we are free, but we love members. And if you're a member, you get inside information about things that are happening, opportunities. We do art travel. We do different types of programs, and our members help us do that. So I'm very appreciative of the members, and I think we always want more.
Yes. Well, the Governor's School of Arts, I mean, that's such a good example of how you all are a, great resource for, the community and for schools down here. Because what a good opportunity for them to be able to present their works, but then now also have them on display in such a, amazing art museum.
Very talented young people. So these are, that some of them, they conceive of the work, they design it, and then they fabricate, they make the work, and then students also display the work. They do a fashion show. So that's really a whole thing. It's takes many months for them to do the whole thing. And we had the event, and there's such great energy in the room when they're there. So I encourage you to do that. And we love them as a partner, and it's been going on for 9 years. So
Wow.
something we want to
Yes.
continue.
Absolutely. Well, Erik, thank you so much for joining us today. And to anyone watching or watching this later, there will be links available for you to be able to see, what Perry Glass Studio expansion means. You can see the progress they've made on the Chrysler Museum website, and I'll have all of those links attached as well, so you can get more information.
Thank you very much, and come visit the Chrysler.
Absolutely. Thanks.